ישבתי על כיסא חשמל, נפרדתי מהפרייבט.
Erev Tov, everybody. I'm Rabbi Aklepi, and I welcome you on this Erev Tov, on this good evening from Temple Beth, well, one of our annexes, to our weekly show, a show where we will enjoy part happy hour, part human interest, where we'll learn something, and of course, words of wisdom. And this evening, probably, hopefully, all fun. So when we finish hearing that yo-yo, we hear Tishaneh Makom, Tishaneh Mazal. We change our place, we change our luck. And sometimes I use that as an introduction to change a physical place, we change our luck. Sometimes it's a spiritual place, we change our luck. But today, in the places in which we exist, when we change the interiors of where we live, we may be able to change our luck. When we remove our clutter, when we organize our lives, we will be able to promote our physical and mental clarity and efficiency. And so I have a special guest from actually Organize, the owner, who's a professional organizer. Gail Jacobs will be here in a few moments. She is a Temple Beth member, and she will share some tips about how we can have greater mental clarity and physical efficiency, something that we've all wanted. I know if you were like me, when we first started to be home more, I said, well, let's see, I have a number of closets in the house. I have things I want to organize. If I were really brave, I would pick up my iPad and scan it around this living room, which is now divided into studio 1, 2, and 3, and show it to you. But I'm not that brave. And I'd be terribly embarrassed in front of the professional organizer to show you that right here is the elliptical machine. That's hardly used. And over here is the beautiful piano. Again, never used. All these things which, I could use some help to do better with. But I'll tell you where I did do better this week. I did better in the refrigerator to declutter that, and in the pantry where we keep the alcohol. I did better there too. I said, a perfect time before Gail comes, I can make our cocktail and our mocktail tonight and declutter those spaces. So I'll start with the non-alcoholic drink. Check this out. Look what's left here. Look at what's left in my Kedem grape juice. Just take a guess when we used this last, when I opened it up. When were those Pesach Seders? Oh, back in March, April was it? Yep, that's when I opened this bottle. And here it is still hanging out in the refrigerator. I'm decluttering the refrigerator and I'm using it now. Tonight's drinks are cherry wine limeade, except I decided to declutter and use the grape juice from the Passover Seder. So I think I may have used this for maybe the mocktail sangria. So here we go. What do we do for the mocktail? I pour, there we go, ta-da, into the recycling, or soon. I have the grape juice here. The recipe should really, this is cold. For the wine, it should really be chilled. I probably shouldn't have it on ice, but if we were shooting this in the kitchen, I would have used my Margaritaville concoction machine and done the shaved ice Slurpee, but really isn't Slurpee weather outside, so I've used the shaved ice. I have the juice in here. I have my fresh squeezed lime juice. Use half that in here. Okay. Mix that up. I am going to use some club soda. Mix that up. I am going to use some fresh pitted cherries can use frozen, of course, but it is cherry season. And I had sent Alex to Publix today, so that was not cleared out. But if one were to go to their freezer and declutter their freezer and find cherries, well, they would do that. Now, a month ago, I went to Costco and I bought a bag of lime, still using those limes. So, and that is my lime garnish. Let's try the non-alcoholic cherry limeade, which is really Kedem grape juice limeade. Very good. This does need that nice hefty shot of fresh lime juice. Now, for the alcoholic juice, the cherry wine limeade. Again, I went to my cabinet. I said, it's time to declutter the cabinet where the alcohol is kept. And there I found, you know what that doorbell is? Andrea Levine. That is my new ukulele that has just arrived. Okay. I went and I found my cherry wine. Now, this was also purchased for Pesach. Lo and behold, the Seder of 35 became a Seder of 35 online. So therefore, I opened this only last Shabbat. Last Shabbat, we finished reading the book of Midbar, the book of Numbers. When we finish reading a book of the Torah, we do a l'chaim. And so I opened up this bottle of wine and I said to those people there on Zoom for that blessing, you're going to see this again. And here it is, 4 ounces of cherry wine. You could sing the song if you want. I'm guesstimating, but I'm pretty good at that. Again, better to chill the wine, but since I was decluttering the cabinet, I wasn't going to take from the cabinet and clutter the refrigerator. Here is a very hefty, it's probably an ounce now of fresh squeezed lime juice. Stir that up. That is very hefty. I may need some more wine. And of course, my fresh pitted cherries. My lime garnish. Now that looks pretty. It may get in the way of me drinking it. I guess you're supposed to put the garnish in after the club soda. And let's see how many splashes we'll need. It's 3 splashes seem right. Another mix. If it were a Shabbat afternoon or Sunday afternoon around 4 or 5 o'clock and it hadn't rained yet, this would be really excellent in your shaven ice drink machine. Andrea Levine, you and your fiance Eric are invited to my house one Shabbat afternoon, and I will test it out there. Okay, folks. Lo and behold, a wonderful way to use up, declutter, because it's about decluttering today, decluttering your cabinet from your leftover Passover wine, from your cherry wine. You could sing the song and you could have this really wonderful cherry wine limeade. It really is. It's delicious, I have to say. Okay, there we go. Cherry wine limeade and the club soda, or let's call it the kosher for Passover grape juice limeade. I have decluttered now the refrigerator in the garage from the leftover grape juice from Passover, and I have started to declutter the pantry where the alcohol is stored. I haven't done enough, but if we weren't separated from each other, we could finish this if we had enough people over. The dog is now here. You're now allowed to have the grape juice. And there we go. It's a great start to a wonderful evening of learning about decluttering. So who's going to teach us more? Gail Jacobs. Gail Jacobs is an organizer, a professional organizer. She's been doing this for 17 years. She's the owner of Actually Organized, and her job is to help men, women, students in every room of their house that needs to become a place that once again you will love to be in. You know, if you walk into a room and it's a mess, or you just can't get a handle on it, instead of walking into the room and going, instead of it being a sanctuary, it feels like a place you want to get out of, or a place that gives you really pressure instead of joy. Well, Gail's here to teach us how to bring joy back into our house, and none too soon, because we've been here a lot. We're going to be in our homes longer. So let's find how to bring that joy, this a little more mental clarity, calm, peace, all those wonderful things in the homes that we love. Gail, come on in. You're in, and welcome.
Okay, hi. So this is so nice to do this happy hour. So hopefully everyone also has a drink. So when they listen, they can just sit back and relax. I love everything you said, Rabbi Aklepi. First of all, thank you for inviting me. The idea of change your place, change your luck is about what decluttering and organizing is all about. And I want to address, you said you were embarrassed to show me. That's what I do. I mean, inevitably, when I work with someone, the first question is this the worst you've seen? It's never the worst, because we're all about encouraging. So it's not about being embarrassed. And I was just writing down some things you said. And I love the way you're talking about decluttering. You used up what's in your refrigerator and you got rid of that. And I want to say how good it feels. You were very excited that I got to get rid of something you don't need, or you've used up, or serves you no purpose. Getting rid of things is not a terrible thing. It's a good thing. Yeah, we're going to talk about removing our clutter. And when we do that, we regain our space. And when we do that, when we regain our space, we restore the space we love. I can just talk, or do you want to ask me questions?
Yeah, so let's see. So what is the space that people have the most trouble with in their homes?
The most trouble. You know, I guess a lot of people call us for kitchens, the three things: kitchen, office, and closets.
Okay.
But it's never, I see, when I look at it, I tell people it doesn't matter how small or how large the project is. Organization, even in the smallest aspect of your home, feels good. You open a drawer and it's a mess. I just had a client the other day. She goes, I got my drawers organized. And if you can organize just that drawer, it's like it's joyful to be able to open it and go, I see where everything is. Or after I worked with someone, a client, and the drawer had been a mess and we were looking for something, I go, we know exactly where it is. So organization is all about having everything in its place, a specific place. But I think it really, you know, there's so many areas of the home that people want to organize, but those three things would be the most: the kitchen, the closet, and the office.
Is there a time that people, they just keep buying because they can't find something, and they actually end up having way more than they need, like in their kitchen? And is there a time when they actually have too little and they really actually need something? Or have you ever met somebody who actually needs to buy something that they don't have?
I've never met anyone who had too little, because usually,
what a surprise.
Right, if you need something, you're going to buy it. But certainly the idea behind clutter is decisions not made. You don't know what you have when you have clutter. So you need something for the kitchen or your office. You can't find it. So you go out and buy another one. So when the organizer comes in and we start sorting through, we go, oh, we got 4 of these, 2 of those. How many do we need? So it's usually more a matter of you can't find something, so you buy another one. And even if you didn't feel like, oh my God, the place is a mess, I need to organize. Every once in a while, we need to go through our closets and our cabinets to see what's there, because sometimes we tuck things in that we're not going to use very often and we forget it's there. So just even going through your cabinets and closets, just looking to see what you have tucked away helps you keep on top of what you do have. What was the third part?
I'm sorry, let's try to debunk a couple of myths. Is there a difference in gender that of somebody being more holding on to more clutter or being more disorganized? And that's the first question. And is there ever an age where forget it, it's hopeless?
You know, I don't really think there's a gender, more female or male, because I've had males who are pack rats or hold on to things, and I've had women who have hold on to things. I think in general, women might be more sentimental, so they might want to hold on to a few things. I do see with men though, they might go in and and my husband's very, very organized. He and his brother went in when his mother passed away and just everything was gone, get rid of everything. Whereas I know as myself, even the organizer, I would stop and look to see what needs to be kept and not just got rid of. So even though I said I think men and women are kind of equal, perhaps I am leaning towards men are able to get rid of things more easily. And yet I've gotten many calls from a wife going, my husband's the pack rat. I can't get him to get rid of anything. So, you know, it depends on the personality of the person. I don't think one gender owns either better at organizing or not. So I've seen it all. And then
sorry, go ahead.
And now all of a sudden I forgot your other.
The age. Is there ever a time when it's hopeless? A person is just
never. Certainly seniors, senior, because there's a senior and then there's a senior, they might be more attached to things. And at that point, I've been called into homes where it's really a health hazard, the way the home is. So I need to help make sure that they're safe there. And at that time, I'm trying to get rid of some things that they don't absolutely need. But if they're sentimental and certain things they have to keep, there's no reason to have to get rid of it. I mean, for what? You're going to disrupt their home and their life because I need this thing. But we go in there and we do make it safer and we maybe reorganize. But the idea behind organizing isn't always, I'm coming in there to get rid of your stuff, to make you get rid of. I'm there to encourage you and to help you decide what really is important. And when I'm there, there's motivation. So many people say, I couldn't have, we've been working 2 and 3 and 4 hours. They go, my God, I would have stopped in 10 minutes. You have the accountability partner, you have the motivator, you have the encouraging person. And when the organizer is working with you, it's getting done. Whereas you're doing it yourself, you've got to stop and then you got to decide, where is this going to go? So I want to point out 3 things. So 3 things you need to remember when you're organizing is, where is this item going to do? Where is this item going to live? First, if you decide to keep it, because first it's, am I going to keep this? Do I use it? Do I need it? Does it serve me? Can I replace it down the road if I really needed to? I was just talking to someone the other day. She said, I have this whole roll of bubble, for wrapping, and it's really good bubble wrap. I go, well, are you moving in the next month or so? She goes, no. She doesn't have a garage. She doesn't have a lot of extra space. I go, do you have any place to put it so it's out of the way? No. I said, in that case, you need to let it go, because if you needed it down the road 6 months, a year, it's not very expensive to replace. So you want to know, I also look at your space as valuable real estate. So is this item taking up valuable real estate, whereas you don't even care about the item so much? So once you decide you're going to keep an item, you have to figure out where it's going to live. And how am I going to use it? How often am I going to use it? Because you want to think about spaces that are like eye level, arm levels are easy to get to. Things that are higher or on the way of the ground are more difficult. So those would be things you would want to access less often. If we talk about an office, you talk about the circle around you. Is it in arm's reach? Do I need it? Do I work with it every day? Then I want it in arm's reach. If it's something I only need to get to once a month, you can have that across the room. So when you're organizing, you want to think of where it's going to live. So now, okay, where it's going to live, how often do I use it? And where do I use it? In what room? Another thing, because you asked me about containers before we got on this call, and people run out and they buy containers and they go, I bought all these containers and nothing's working. And that's because, again, you have to determine where is this item going to live. So I use this word, to help people when they're doing the organizing, and it's called regain your space. So the R is you have to review what you have. The E is you have to eliminate what you don't want. The G is you have to group like items. The A is you have to assess the space you're going to put it in. I is you're going to invest in the right containers that fit that space and then neatly put it away. So you've determined you want to keep this item. I'll just hold this up. I determined I'm going to keep this, whatever it might be. So now I have to figure out where it's going to live. Well, it's something I can use often. So I want it in a space I can reach it. And what closet is it going to go into, or what cabinet? So I have to measure my cabinet. I need to know the depth of my space, the width of my space, and the height, so that I know this can fit there. If I go out and I bought a container that's way too big or way too small, I won't be able to store my items. So I'm gonna, and I'll share another thing. You asked me again about containers. So I like square containers. This particular item comes in many different sizes. And I like a square item because it fits more. If it was angled sides, the bottom is very small and you can't fit as much. I also like items that stack. So now if I had a cabinet and I knew the height was this tall, I could stack two of them. If it was less, I might want to take one of the containers that is more shallow. So I have a little more with containers, unless you have another question.
I always like to go in the container store and I see a 2 container. I buy it without a reason and not knowing how big it is and where I want to put it. Because I always buy for the cute rather than the need. And then I come home like, oh, now I have another thing I have to put somewhere where I think I'm going to store it. So it's a good idea to measure the container. So let's say we're starting in a closet, a clothing closet.
Okay.
So what are some of the questions people want to ask themselves? What to decide if they're holding on to something or getting rid of it?
Well, first of all, if it's and clothing, yeah, I have people who can get rid of clothing really quickly. And I have other people that really need to, I have to put it on. I have to look if it fits. I have to look at this. But the things are, first of all, am I wearing it? That's the first thing. And how often am I wearing it? There's a comment that if you haven't worn it in a year, get rid of it. So a lot of ways you can do is you can turn your hangers around. And then every time you wear something, you turn it the proper way. After a year, if one is not turned, then you know you can get rid of it. I don't always follow that completely because I feel there are some specialty items in your closet that you're not going to wear all the time. Special, a gown or a special hat or a special something. But definitely you need to go through your closet. Have I outgrown it? Do I like it? Does it look good on me? Has my style changed? Does it have a hole? Does it have a stain? And then there's those items that are sentimental, or I paid a lot of money for this. I've done that to myself too. Before I was organizing, I bought an outfit, spent a lot of money, and every time I put it on, I just didn't like it. But I kept that outfit for a little too long. And finally, after several years, it's like, okay, get rid of it. You're not going to wear it. You don't like it. Even though you spent the money, it's not going to help you to hold on to it. It's just a reminder that you wasted some money. So I say donate it, pay it forward, and know when you send it out, give the intention that it's going to give joy and pleasure to someone else. It's going to serve someone else well.
So now I have a question for empty nesters, not only actually empty nesters, but people whose children are growing up. So when is it time to get rid of, I'll ask the empty nester question first, to get rid of the stuff your children leave behind?
Okay, this is very interesting. I was just talking to a woman today, And her children gave her a gift of organizing, but she was too panicked to call. So we spoke today, and she said her children came in and her daughter's stuff is all in her room. And her daughter said, and she said, it still looks like when her daughter was a little child. Her daughter said, you can't get rid of all my stuff. So I said to the mother, then she needs to take it. And with her son said, you can get rid of anything that doesn't have my name on it, but he left it to her. And she couldn't do it. So I said, you need him to come in and get rid of it. When is it time? Truthfully, I think organizing should be throughout your life. Every time you go to take something out or you look through something, I'm not using this, I don't care about this, let it go, because it makes it much easier than having everything. When you have to move or something, it's major. But I think once your children are out of your house, on their own, married, whatever, you need to discuss, come look at your stuff. And if you don't want it, I'm letting it go. Now, a lot of people and the kids have said, you're erasing my childhood. Then I say, okay, pick one or two things that are very meaningful for them that they would want to take or that you want to keep. And then maybe if you have to, take a picture of the other items. But I know, like many other mothers, I saved report cards and art pieces. And several years ago, I think we sat down with the whole box. I said, look, and we got rid of it. Because basically you're holding it to show them, look what you did. Isn't that cute? And you saved it. But you definitely have to take the dive in to get rid of, keep some things that are very memorable, but you don't have to keep every single piece of paper your child ever made for you or every single card.
And a number of years ago, I went through artwork from, I think, preschool and elementary school. I took pictures and I sent it to one of the companies that, like Snapfish or something, and I made a book, and everything else went away except for one nice plastic container, which went into the garage. So, because Florida, we don't have basements and we don't really have, most of us don't have tons of storage space. When things go into the garage, are they ever salvageable? Do you have suggestions on how do you store things in a garage that be paper or things like that? Does it ever work?
The garage is difficult, and the garage is very humid and hot. I've been in some homes where the garage stays cooler than others. I would never store clothes in the garage. I would never store your suitcases that you use because they're going to take on an odor. And the papers, if they're in airtight containers and they're not important papers, they're the art of the kids and things, and you really don't need to preserve them. That's all right to put out there. But I don't put much out in the garage on, holiday decorations are fine. Look, a lot of my clients too, there's no other place, and they will put things in the garage, put a fan or an air conditioner, maybe some kind of dehumidifier, something where it can be cooled off. But garage, you're not going to keep things well in a garage. It's too hot.
Okay.
I wanted to tell you a little bit about so many people, with us staying home for the last 4 months. Prior to this, we were all probably much busier. So we were running and doing, and we didn't notice things as much. But now that we're home, things are kind of, oh, that stuff is in that corner. I've got to address that. It's weighing on our mind. It's there, and we have to do something about it. And sometimes the project might be just too big. You look at the room, you go, oh, I got to organize this room. Well, like any step you're going to do to make changes, looking at the whole picture is a little too broad. It's too scary. It stagnates, it freezes you. So you've got to look for the smallest part. Start with a drawer, start with one shelf, start with one corner. Years ago, my mother had passed away. My father was the pack rat. My mother was a perfectionist. So when she was gone, his place was terrible. And I always say, you got to start with picking up off the floor. First things there, if it's on the floor, let's pick it up. And then you have to say, what is this? Do I need it? Why is it here? So one thing might be, I don't need it. I can donate it. Great, let's donate it. Or it's trash, let's throw it out. An empty box, let's get rid of it. Or maybe, well, I do want to keep it, but it doesn't belong in this room. It was maybe a tool, or maybe it was a kitchen item and it was in an office. So you need to take the things out that don't belong in that room. And then of course, in that room, so maybe you find books in this corner and you have books in this corner and you have books on this shelf. You want to group them all together and put them in one place. So it's start one small space. And the reason I say that is because typically you should take everything out of the cabinet or everything out of the drawers. If you take everything out of the room or take everything out of your cabinet, and then you lose your motivation or your staying power, now you have worse than a mess. And sometimes organizing does get a little messier. So that's why I say start with one drawer, start with one shelf. I had a client talk to me the other day, and the room really needed some organizing, but she had cleared her drawers and she did a great job. She felt so good. And you talked about changing emotionally, how clutter things affect you emotionally, physically, and mentally, and clutter does. You mentioned, like, if you walk into a room and everything's put away, there's such a good feeling. If you walk in a room and there's stuff everywhere, it's like stressful. I do an experiment when I've done a talk where I kind of mess up one side of the room. I turn the chairs up, I throw some papers on the floor, and one side is perfectly neat. And most everyone that comes in will sit on the neat side. People who sit on the messy side start picking up the chairs and picking up the paper, and I ask them why. And it's because they feel better when things are organized. You can pay attention, you can think, you feel good. So it's very important. Organization is very important.
So one last question, or maybe a couple more. You talked about donating. Do you have special places or your favorite places or suggestions about donating things?
I usually take it to Goodwill. It's the easiest for me. They're available to open. There's lots of places like Lotus House and Suited for Success, but like with Suited for Success, these you can deliver it on 2 to 3 on Friday. Well, that doesn't work for me. Goodwill and my organizing chapter down here in the South went to the corporate offices of Goodwill down here in Florida. They're really amazing. I know a lot of people say, well, they make money, but they give jobs to a lot of challenged people, and they're an incredible business that supports and mentors other people, who need some help. So I do give to Goodwill. When I have to clean out a house, I call Miami Rescue Mission. They are wonderful. They take almost everything. There's a lot of good organizations, Vietnam Vets, and I just lost the name of the other one, but a lot of them are very specific. Well, I can't take it unless one man can carry it. And if it has a scratch, I don't want it. So I've always found that Miami Rescue never really questioned that. They took almost everything. And you want to make it easier to get rid of things. There's the other question that people will say, I want it to go to someone who's going to enjoy it. And that's well and good, but you're putting a stop right in front of you, because now where are you going to find that person? Who is that person going to be? So I say again, I like with the Maria Kondi that she says, let's honor the pieces that we've had. Let's thank them for their service and wish them well as you pay it forward, and put out the intention that that item that you're giving away is going to make someone else very happy.
Right. So we shouldn't put too many stipulations on what we're giving away. It has served us, and now, and then if it becomes a hindrance to us, then we really don't need it anymore. So it's time to say goodbye.
Right.
So now that we're home, and we see that we're in our homes, and we can see sections of the homes. We see them more that need more attention. We can honor our time at home by looking to a small spot, maybe one closet, one shelf. Start slowly and get that feeling of accomplishment, and see where it takes us from there. So let me recap. So the kitchen or the bedroom, it's not really important necessarily where we start, but it's where we're driven to see that this room needs to make us feel better than it does now.
Absolutely.
And when we open up X drawer, if we open it up and really don't see anything, the way my husband opens the refrigerator and just sees nothing, even though it's filled, and has to close it again, then we may want to start in that place, because if we can't see something, then we have to figure out really what's there. So we always want to be looking to see what we have, what our needs are, and then we can distribute it appropriately.
Right, you're right on. I was going to say there's containers for your refrigerator. And one thing when we talk about containers, especially in pantries, I have to just add this, that don't have pullouts and they're very deep and you can never get to the back. You lose things. You've got to find a container long enough. And there are containers that fit almost the whole length of it. And it can be narrow for your tea bags or wide for anything else, but you want to make use of the whole depth. And you're totally right. It doesn't matter what area you start. It has to do with what is bothering you the most. And I want to add one more thing with the closet, because you don't want to start with the closet, a shelf, or maybe you'll take the first section of clothing and you'll go through that. I have half hour, I have an hour, and that's all the attention span. I'm going to do that section. And then next day do another section. So it's not overwhelming. So organization isn't overwhelming.
One more question about students. So those students, let's say are college students going back to school, or even younger students, they're a year older, they may be a different size, they have to get rid of the last year's books and then get ready for a new year. What's the best way to motivate them so young people, even children and teens, even children and teens can take some accountability for being the organizers and be motivated? They grow up, they can sit having this conversation and be you instead of maybe me.
Motivating your own family is difficult. My daughter does actually organize in New York as well. I didn't know as a youngster that she was this organized. It's definitely hard to motivate someone. And I guess you have to, with the littlest ones, there's kind of a little, but we're not talking about college because we're talking about little ones. There's a little bribery or games you do with them. I'm going to the younger child. In many cases, I think when you tell a child, I know this isn't what you asked, but when you tell a child to clean up a room, they don't know what that means.
Right.
They might just shove everything under the bed because they don't know. So you've got to do it with them and maybe do it with them 1, 2, 3 times. So now when you say clean up the room, they know what that means. I think with the older child or the one going away to college, you just have to let them realize it's their next step to being on their own. When you can see that they can handle their space and get rid of what they don't need and organize what they have, it's one step to see them being able to be on their own, being independent. So maybe we need to encourage them that this is how you become independent. You know, it's difficult. Each person is different. I find when a lot of parents have called me, I work with a child. When you have someone that is not mom and dad, they might listen better. And you do it. When I work with the kids, it's all about them. It's not about what I want or how I want it. It's about feeling, how would you like this room to look? How would you like it to feel? Isn't it nicer to know where your things are, where you can find them, that it's not in a pile and you can't find anything you need. So it's encouraging them in what they feel is most important. Bring them in as part of the project. You know, don't like, this is what you need to do, this is what you should do. Again, it's a family communication. Sit down and say, okay, how do you see next year? Maybe even say, what is it that you need to keep? What is it that you can get rid of? How do we keep you organized? I organized one of these kids' office room, his desk. We talked to him of what he needs, what he uses. Did he need more shelves because he had more books and things to display? And we put, again, talking about keeping close, we brought in a cart. So he had all his papers and books right near him. So when he worked, you've got to have the communication with that person to see what it is to create that motivation. I hope that answered it. It's very abstract.
No, it is. It's a great answer to figure out. We can't figure out how to clean up a space until we really know what and where we need it. So that's a fabulous answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Gail, thank you so much for joining us and helping us put a little more order back into our very busy lives. And although our spaces may be limited now, maybe they can be expanded in the way they help make us feel, and maybe we can expand our productivity if we can organize them a little better so we can have this mental clarity, we can feel good about ourselves, and we can feel how we make our homes a mikdash me'at, which we call a small sanctuary, which, by the way, we'll be talking about in Sisterhood before the High Holy Days as a way to elevate our space before we pray. So it's all connected here, how we want to elevate our insides as we elevate our surroundings. So I thank you so much. And we're going to play out with some beautiful music, which is Ani va'ata nishaneh ha'olam. You and I can change the world. And we'll start by changing our own environment around us. And then, of course, get all those social justice issues as well. So thank you, Gail. Thank you, Andrea Levine. I'll be on vacation for the next 2 weeks of Erev Tov, but Andrea Levine will be doing this job from her home, offering some mocktails and some support. So, Erev Tov, everybody. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great week.
אני ואתה נשנה את